I know too many people right now that are crashing the F out. Now, most of them aren't like close friends or anything like that, but people I used to be friends with, associates, stuff like that, people I know, went to school with, all that type of thing. Um, I know multiple people crashing out really hard. And that's not even counting the people that are just, getting by and plugging away and going through the motions. People are crashing out hard. And I'm a firm believer in you're either growing or you're going. You're either getting after it or you're effing up and you're falling behind. Like I'm doing all this stuff. I'm training for an Ironman right now. I ran an ultra marathon a couple weeks ago, casually, just me and my friend ran a marathon. I mean, I trained for it for 2 months, and we ran a marathon. Just went out, and then I decided I felt all right. Kept going. Did a few more miles. Did 30, and I do that type of thing. I climbed Denali this summer, and I've been climbing the tallest mountain in every state. And it's like I do this because if I wasn't actively engaged in that type of stuff, I'd be a degenerate. And some people will be like, oh well, it's you're not, you're just doing this to avoid degeneracy or being a bad person. It's like, yes, in part, absolutely. It's like I don't think this makes me a good person, it just makes me less bad. But yeah, I met up with someone the other day, and it was just like, damn, addiction. um, you gotta beat it. I first signed up for a marathon. It was my cousin's idea, and he got me and my dad to do it, and he didn't even do it. And signed up for a marathon. Hadn't gone for a run in about a year. I was smoking cigarettes um, every day. Not getting crazy messed up, but I was drinking a lot. And then it ended up happening where I ran the marathon on a Sunday morning, and then on Saturday night, I was drinking, I was smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, and then the night before that, Friday night, I got hammered and did heroin. I injected it into my arm, wiling out. I think there was some real self sabotage there because when Sunday morning came around and I was walking up to the starting line of this marathon, never run a marathon before. My longest runs had all been in training for this marathon. Um, Longest runs ever by far. And as I walked up to the starting line, I was just like, yo, this is not me. I'm not ready for this. This is a bad idea. And I found myself thinking like I should just quit. And I was like, ooh, it'd be very like Clark of me to quit. And I realized in that moment, I was like, wow, it would be very me of me to just be like, LOL, I quit. I don't take anything seriously. And this thing I've been training for, I'm just going to bail. I realized that I saw myself as a clown. Like that was I had this identity of just being an absolute goofball, which of course is masking pain. Truly, that's what it was. It was a coping mechanism. And I realized I was like, I don't like that. Like that's pretty, like, wow. I was like, I don't like that. That's how I view myself. Like I realized it that in that moment. I was a little surprised. I'm like, wow, that is how I view myself. And running this marathon, it was ran contrast to my view of myself. And so I was like, I don't want to be a clown anymore. You know, clowns don't get a lot of girls. And I um I decided I was like, sure, I'm gonna run this marathon if it kills me. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna finish this mother effing race. And then that's what I did. I ran the marathon, and it was very hard, and I'm really glad I did it. And I think it was actually a catalyst for me for change. Um, Especially now. So that was a long time ago. I don't even remember. I don't know, 20, that was 10 years ago. And a lot of ups and downs since then, but I'm 34 years old, and I don't really have, vices don't really have their hook in me. I mean, I'm addicted to like my phone and eat too much like sugar. But I'm running marathons and shit. You gotta eat that stuff, right? You gotta eat snickerdoodles and all that. Um, but the thing is, it's just like you gotta stop being a self-destructive alcoholic if you're in your 30s. Like I feel like so many people are just killing themselves slowly instead of living correctly. We have a very short amount of time. At the very least, not thinking too deeply, it's like, this is finite. Like, stop just coping. Like, it is so much better to live rightly, to live on the right path of moving upward, as opposed to just fucking drowning in your sorrows every day. It's like, I hate to see people crashing out, and especially when it's just like, yo, I can't, like, I can try and help, but you can't really help these people unless they really want you to, or and I feel like unless people are asking explicitly for help, it's like, you can't help them. Like, how are you supposed to help someone that's self-destructive? I didn't listen to anyone when I was self-destructive. No one was. I didn't want help. And that's why I think that people should just sign up if you're struggling with vices and self-destruction, crashing out. Like, sign up for a marathon, and somewhere cool. That's what I've done. A few destination type marathons, if you will. Nothing too crazy, but just kind of did one in Seattle. I don't know if I've been to Seattle before. Ran a cool race in like Flagstaff. Never been up there. Nothing crazy. Like, give yourself a year. Sign up for a marathon. I don't know, Kyoto or some shit. Give yourself a year. You should be able to save up for an Airbnb and a flight. Hopefully, I mean, maybe not. Just you can also just do it right outside. But commit to it and fucking do it. Because when you're doing that, if you commit to running a marathon, it will force you to train. And when I was training, like, I didn't mean to quit smoking cigarettes. It's just that if I was smoking a bunch of cigarettes, like, I would just feel it on my run. So I just stopped. Like, it just made me smoke less. And like, I still was drinking a lot, but then I was drinking less because I was out. I was like, oh, I got this run tomorrow, and I just realized, like, at the time, like, yeah, I saw myself as a clown because I was being a clown, and then so I really was holding on to this marathon, like, I'm gonna do this, because it was like, I remember I just had this experience where I like ran into some adult that knew me at this time. I was like 20, early 20s, and training for this initial marathon, and people would ask me like, oh, like, what are you doing with your life? And I had to make shit up because I was doing nothing. And then when I was training for a marathon, I'd be like, oh, I'm training for a marathon, and people were impressed by that. Like, it was something I was doing that people in society saw as a good thing to do, a good challenging thing to do. And I think there is, at the very least, there's some merit in that alone. Like, for some people think it's a good thing to do, because it is. I mean, what I think that it is, what I think the underlying energy of a marathon is spiritual, because it doesn't have any material sense. Like, it doesn't, you go and run a race, like, nothing happens unless you win a bunch of money. Like, you go and run a marathon, all these people go and do it. Why? And I think it's like what I'm talking about, or trying to talk about, is why it's important. It's good for your soul. Like, is revitalized. I can go and push and do this hard thing, and it shows that you're fucking alive and doing shit instead of being self-destructive. Stop being self-destructive and run a marathon.